Go ahead, answer the question. No pressure at all, just you and Tom. I don't know if you've noticed, but Tom Brady has 4 first names. He also has 4 games called as the lead color analyst for Fox, alongside play-by-play partner Kevin Burkhardt. It's been a full month now. Brady's transition from player to analyst has been the most hyped one ever, and it's not even really because any fans were all that excited for it. I mean, were you? Even as a Bucs fan who owes the single greatest sports memory of my life to the man, I can't say I was dying to hear him talk about Dak Prescott.
What do you see in Prescott that amazes you or that you think is so special?
Well, I think...
But with everything that went down behind the scenes to make this happen for Fox, and a lot went down, this kind of needed to be a generational moment, because otherwise, what are we even doing here? $375 million? Network employees were calling this their version of the Manhattan Project? I mean, you guys know what the Manhattan Project did, right? Are we talking about the same Manhattan Project?
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent.
People are going to say it's far too early to cast any kind of judgment on Brady after just a month, but when you sign an ink for $375 million, there's nothing left in the budget for training wheels. That means announcer team number 1 on day number 1 for Tommy Oppenheimer over here. No matter what happens, this guy's calling the Super Bowl this year. Go ahead and add that to the fact that Fox had to demote Greg Olsen in order to make Brady the top dog, a guy who'd become maybe the single best color analyst working today. So, no pressure, I guess. But also, that is kind of the whole mythos of Tom Brady, right? You know, count him out at your own peril. And even for as ridiculous as the numbers are, you can understand why they're doing it. Tony Romo became a broadcasting wunderkind for his early calls, and even though that run was pretty short-lived, they still gave him a groundbreaking contract in 2020 that laid the foundation for all of this. Because, you know, all respect to Romo, but if he can do that, then imagine the GOAT behind the mic. Or at least that's the idea. So knowing all of that, 1 month in, how does Tom Brady look so far in the broadcast booth?
There's high expectations for us. We got to make sure we go out there and deliver.
If there's one reason why you're paying Tom Brady that much money, it's because he is a planet when it comes to the credibility and weight of what he says. You know, your Uncle Dave knocks back a couple Coors Light and boom, he's more knowledgeable than whatever schlub analyst is on the D team, but when Tom Brady speaks, Uncle Dave starts to listen a little bit.
But Dak's not buying it. He puts a thumbs up like, nah, I know you're not coming down, Tyron. You're moving back. Just don't get a lot of truth all the time as an NFL player because you're in the league and you made it and you had a good college career. Well, that doesn't mean anything.
By far the MVP of Brady's transition in the booth so far has been his partner Kevin Burkhardt. Burkhardt is a true professional in a way that makes you respect that you just cannot do what he does. And no, you couldn't do it either, Dave. You need to drink some water. Minute by minute, Burkhardt is filling dead air, lightening the dynamic, even teeing up Brady for entire segments of his analysis.
But why was he so tough for you to go against? You just didn't know who was blitzing at what time? What is it? Is that always changing the play with all that communication? What's he doing there? Was man easier than zone, vice versa? Did it matter to you?
These little alley-oops aren't all that common for experienced teams, but ideally they help Brady get into a better rhythm of fleshing his thoughts out for the audience. And to be totally fair, it's difficult to create anything memorable in a blowout, and every single one of Brady's calls so far this year have been exactly that. Unless you luck out and get a cat loose on the field, a blowout is not going to be entertaining. And this has even resulted in the broadcast sometimes just pivoting away from the game entirely to do just like straight up Tom Brady-centric content.
There was a lot of reasons to choose Tampa, and I made about 18 criteria why. Ultimately, Chicago was a team, and I've never told that story before.
Wait, so you were almost a Bear?
I know.
Never heard that.
You know?
Oh, no way. Tom Brady was almost a Bear? What was that, like 4 years ago? Point is, we have got to get some better game scripts, or we're going to run out of Brady factoids by week 8. Also, I need to see Brady call a true high-stakes 2-minute drill. I think that'll be a real make-or-break moment.
Again, you get behind the sticks on this against this defense, it's just hard to go forward.
Yeah.
Brady is not out of his depth calling NFL games, but he is without a doubt still out of his element. People railed on him for being shaky and really halting in his debut, but for me it was just so bizarre hearing Tom Brady, of all people, just getting eaten up by his nerves.
What a catch and what a throw. What's it going to be like with CeeDee Lamb and Denzel Ward, and I do what they tell me. Understand that. I'm still a rookie in here.
This is what? Brady's locked down the broadcasting rule of never saying or whenever he's got his mic hot, but at what cost? Because sometimes he just straight up sounds like a CD that's skipping.
Trying to make a great throw, but he's just had Njoku out there in the flat.
I'm sure this will be less and less of an issue as time goes on, but it's pretty noticeable.
And turns it into another rushing first down.
When Brady was still on the field, it was infuriating to watch your team go up against him because it never seemed like he had to force anything. It was just death by 1,000 James White paper cuts. In the booth, this philosophy plays out in a weird way. Tom Brady is certainly a football computer, but whether it's because he's uncomfortable with the little time he has between downs or simply can't translate what he sees quickly, the majority of Brady's contributions to this point are what I would call check-down analysis. He doesn't want to trip over his words, and he doesn't want to confuse people either, so he'll just take what's there, which usually is just a cliche.
The recipe for success in football is get ahead, stay ahead, don't turn the ball or play on your terms. It's hard to gain 10 yards in the NFL. It's really hard to gain 15 yards. Very, very difficult to gain 20 yards. It's a week-to-week league in the NFL, and if you don't put your best foot forward in both phases of the game, then you get beat up.
A lot of these sound like the type of non-answers players will give in post-game press conferences, which, is what he did for over 20 years, in full fairness. It's just not very interesting. In the same vein, Brady will occasionally assign a letter grade to throws or catches. And at first, you're thinking, all right, that's perfect, who better to judge a throw than Tom Brady? But then after like 2, you realize it's not adding anything at all.
An A-plus throw and an A-plus catch.
Kind of a C-plus throw, but an A-plus catch. Dak just drops an A-plus throw.
Awesome throw by Carr. A-plus.
And just a D throw. I know I have my little grading scale, but
he almost sounds kind of embarrassed about the whole thing. Do you think someone's making him do this? So things have been a bit of a mixed bag to start off. And there was always going to be more criticism than praise given how much pressure and people's already held opinions of Tom Brady, but if there's anything remarkable about his transition so far, it's really just how unremarkable it's been. With each passing week, he sounded like a slightly sharper impression of a generic announcer, which may mean that Brady's still finding his voice, or in the Fox Doomsday scenario, that means that is his voice. Despite his increase in public appearances recently and a highly manicured social media presence, we still don't know if this is going to be something that Brady is really good at. Fox might want him to be the next John Madden or even the next Tony Romo, but their level of comfort and talent for broadcasting isn't something you can just grind and study into existence. But even if that turn just never happens, Brady already has something else that is compelling and immediately accessible to him: hating. To borrow from his own grading system, Tom Brady is an A-plus hater, and that's not even an insult.
everyone's friends now in sports all the time, and I'm like, I don't get that. That's just not my thing.
His disdain for inadequacy is what made him so ruthlessly successful in the NFL, and in the years since his retirement, he has not held back in criticizing quarterback play, criticizing the general quality of modern football, and those takes have been well received every time, because his heart is in it.
I think there's a lot of mediocrity in today's NFL. Yeah. I don't see the excellence that I saw in the past.
Feigning praise is not Brady's thing. It's spitting deserved criticism from one of the highest pedestals in the sport. Now, obviously, you can't just hop in the booth and obliterate every single decision a team and player makes, but you can kind of tell Brady wants to, and I want him to as well.
Find CD when it's one on another penalty.
Oh, my God. Just got to squeeze that one.
Said, quote, they wanted me to come in, be myself, bring the joy back to football for guys who weren't having as much fun.
This wasn't daycare. If I wanted to have fun, I was going to go to Disneyland with my kids.
Brady's gotten flack for how he handled those Baker Mayfield comments, but guys, this is who Tom Brady is. Let's all just embrace him and enjoy the magic he creates. To this point, Brady has been very kind through a lot of bad football. And while I'm not advocating for total negativity, obviously, I think continuing to be very positive all the time would be a mistake in its own right. Probably the biggest gripe with NFL commentary today is the tendency for color guys like Romo or Collinsworth to shower worship and praise on the best players in the league, even if it's not warranted.
That was a heck of a play by Mahomes right there.
What better way to set yourself apart than being the voice of real, genuine criticism, especially when that is what you're best at and also what you're infinitely qualified for.
You know, a lot of guys would come up to me and they'd be like, hey man, it's an honor to be on the field with you. In my mind, I'm thinking, they're done.
If there's a recipe for Brady to become a truly great commentator, it's going to require both sugar and salt. And now that he's retired, he can use both of them freely. Like I've said a couple times, it's still early, and I'm rooting for it to really work. If Brady can add more depth and edge to his analysis as he gets a little more comfortable on the mic, he's going to be solid. But with expectations as massive as the ones his own network threw onto him, I'm not even sure if perfection would have been enough.
3, 2, 1.